Lenny.
Hi, Nancy.
Welcome to episode 128 of the Front Porch Book Club.
The Front Porch Book Club is a podcast that meets twice a month.
We like to dig deep into the relationship between characters and the worlds they live in.
Grab your book and iced tea and join us on the Front Porch.
Lenny, today we interview Lee Kelly and Jennifer Thorne about their book, The Midnight Show. And this is the first time we've had co-authors on the Front Porch.
I know, it was so fun.
It really was. Twice the fun, I think. The Midnight Show isn't the first book they've co-authored either. They've written 3 previous novels together: The Antiquity Affair, The Starlets, and My Fair Frauds. And we'll hear a little bit about those 3 books in the interview.
Right. They're also independent writers. Lee Kelly is the author of the acclaimed speculative fiction novels City of Savages, also A Criminal Magic, and With Regrets. Lee has practiced entertainment law in Los Angeles and New York. She lives in New Jersey with her husband and 2 children. Jennifer Thorne is the USA Today bestseller author of Diavola Loot, and coming in September 2026, her new book, Newborn Park. She has written several books for young readers. Jen lives in a cottage in the Cotswolds in England with her husband and her 2 sons. She performs locally as a late lyric soprano.
So interesting. Well, let's get to their interview.
Okay.
Welcome, Lee and Jen, to our Front Porch.
Thanks so much for having us.
Hello, thank you.
Well, we're so excited to have both of you here. We loved the book, The Midnight Show. We're very curious. Lee, could you tell us how you and Jennifer got to know each other and how you started writing together? You're across the Atlantic Ocean from each other.
I know. It's such a bizarre meet cute. Jen and I were debut authors the same year. And I feel like back in the day, this is 2015, we kind of pooled resources together, marketing, publicity, and would basically be each other's cheerleaders, so that you always knew somebody on Twitter or on the internet was basically like, read this book. So Jen, what was the first time we actually kind of met in person? I think it was a retreat that we did for one of these groups called the Freshman 15.
Yeah, that was at my dad and my stepmom's house in Charleston. They're very good hosts. And we had a writing and kind of scheming retreat.
Ooh.
Because when you debut as an author, you are under the false illusion that you can control the course of your career in any way. So we were trying to sort of strategize around marketing and stuff. But Lee and I were in a very similar place in our lives with young families and lots of similarities between us that we didn't know about, like that we'd grown up in the same area of Pennsylvania and lived in the same cities at the same time, same year of high school.
Not only that,
same height.
Yes, like we played each other in high school. Like that's how ridiculous the doppelganger situation was.
Same league.
Yeah, but we didn't realize this until we had met in person. And I was such a fan of your books, Jen, obviously. I know we sort of had this mutual adoration like going in, but it wasn't until we were in person, I think, that it was like, we have a synergy, which is really special.
So we became friends from that point, but it was a few years later. We were in close contact, sharing our lives and our careers and stuff like that. And, troubleshooting things that pop up along the way. It's really useful to have author friends.
For sure.
But I read her second book. I love all of her books, but her second book in particular, A Criminal Magic, I finished it. And it was such a kind of fist pump of a book. It was
thanks, Jen.
I wish I'd written this. I would have made all the same choices in a perfect world. I felt like her writing style was similar to what I wanted mine to be. So I'd seen other authors who had co-written, and I thought, what would that be like? That might be a nice outlet that isn't just me in a room by myself. So I reached out to Lee and said, have you ever considered co-writing? And would you give it a try with me?
It's so wild because I remember distinctly the moment that I got that text. I was on vacation with my family. I remember being so jazzed about it, but not having any sense of what co-writing would look like. Like if you've never tried it, you have no idea what you're actually signing up for.
Oh, I didn't either.
Right. No, totally. So this is how long our collaboration's gone. We decided to get online and it's Skype. and we're like kind of throwing out ideas and like, what would you want to write about? And I remember this moment that Jen was like, okay, Lee, what do you want to do? And I loved how just direct, we're not going to like hem and haw. We're going to pick a topic and we're going to run with it. And that efficiency, it's at the core, I think, of what we do together. We are more than the sum of our parts when we get together and collaborate. And it really is creative magic. That's never stopped. That like, all right, we're going to do this. We think it's going to take an hour, but it takes like 20 minutes.
We're incredibly efficient. Yeah.
Wow.
Together. I will caveat for me, together.
Yeah. As I work on my solo book very slowly. Yeah,
different energy.
So how do you guys work together in co-authoring? What's the rhythm? Do you take different characters? Do you each work on drafts sequentially? What does that look like?
It has evolved.
I was going to call it an evolution. That's definitely, I think, the right word for it. The first book that we worked on actually was the first book that we published together, which is called The Antiquity Affair. And it is a 1907 kind of like Indiana Jones sisters adventure. So we each decided to take I love your face, Nancy.
I'm so excited. Sisters, Indiana Jones. This is fabulous.
I get the whip, Nancy. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
I love it. That's awesome. So at that time, we were like, okay, this is going to be easy if we each take a sister. And so we each kind of captained a character, a narrator, and we were very polite to start, right, Jen? Like
it was our courtship.
Was all comments were in the lines.
Margin notes, yeah. Like beta readers, kind of. Like we were giving each other notes rather than getting in there. And then book 2, The Starlets, we also captained different characters, but we were in there. We got our hands dirty in each other's chapters. I think our writing style is similar enough that the first book too, you wouldn't be able to necessarily tell the difference. Nobody could tell who wrote what of all our friends.
I got wrong guesses a lot of the time.
All the time, yeah. And then by the time we came to, so our third book was My Fair Frauds, and we were very writing over each other. And it wasn't just 2 characters. So that made it easier to sort of jump in between and sort of insert different things and work more dynamically. But by the time we got to the Midnight Show, which is extremely mixed media and dynamic format, we were just in a Google Doc together, typing simultaneously. Wow. Sometimes we would work on scenes in tandem, like improv on the page. She would write one character's dialogue, I would respond. And we're always on a voice chat or a video chat while we're doing work sessions together.
We've evolved to Google Chat, but I think the book actually benefited from that because sometimes it made sense, as you've read it, that the characters are contradicting each other. So for certain beats, it made sense for us to sort of be working in our own silos so that the interviewer is getting 2 different impressions of the same event. But what was cool was when we were actually interviewing one another, to be in the same room was like so beneficial because it felt more like an interview. And each of us actually, especially in revision, would press on each other and really try to get to what the character was actually saying. So having 2 heads in that story was incredible because I think it really did benefit from having 2 authors behind it.
There's so many perspectives too. We did captain initially various characters, although we punched up lines for each other's dialogue constantly throughout the process. But our POV for those characters we owned. So when you have a difference of opinion about what happened in certain scenes, like did Gina stand up for Lillian's sketch? Gina certainly believes so. So Lee was captaining Gina, and so Lee believes so. I don't think it happened like that. So we even have there's a little bit of gray area between our realities of what we've built in the book because there are so many different perspectives coming to bear upon it.
Well, I did like that about the book. I like that there were different perspectives going on for the same scene. But I have a question for the 2 of you.
Yes.
Which one of you is funnier and wittier? Is one of you like more of the punchline, the wit naturally, do you think?
I think I would say we have different humor. Don't you think that's a fair? We call ourselves the Venn diagram. Our interests in comedy are Venn diagram like in that I really like more impressions and sort of spoofs and like long running kind of gags, analogies. And Jen is much more of the Andy Kaufman kind of like cerebral.
Surrealist.
Yeah, exactly. Like the plinky plink plink of the piano. That was Jen. Jazzercise Assassins is me. We like leaned into what we prefer.
Even in our writing of everything, I feel like that holds up. Like you're so good at writing articles, like imitating a style. So we always, as a team, we lean on you for that one. And I feel like I take things in weird directions sometimes.
Yeah, for this book, it was great. And I feel like at first we kind of resisted that. Like, okay, we have to come to a punchline, but that both of us are behind. But it ended up, given there's 8 comedians in the book, it worked so well that we sort of did cover a larger ground with our tastes, because I think that ended up working well for the characters.
Yeah, I think what we both love most is character-based humor, that it's informed by the character rather than just being sort of snappy. Although some of the characters are snappy and that is their personality, but you know, letting people kind of hang themselves by their own rope because they're flawed. That's the funniest situation to me.
Yeah, they are each so different in their humor. So it's so fun to hear how this developed between the two of you. But I'm going to go back just a couple minutes earlier. Linny and I grew up in Pennsylvania and lived all over the state. So what high schools did you guys graduate from? Or what towns are you from?
Oh, I love that. I grew up in Havertown.
Oh.
That means anything to you. So Marion Mercy is where I went to school. And Jen?
I lived mostly Bryn Mawr area and Newtown Square, and I went to Shipley.
Okay.
So if you know, that is legitimately 20 minutes apart, which is, it's so wild.
It's funny that Lee says that we played each other in sports, because while I was on the soccer team, I certainly didn't play in any games. I was the one who chased the ball when somebody would kick it out of the field. I mean, I was bad.
You were in all the theater productions. I was firmly in the audience for that. I was very much an athlete, and Jen was more theater in high school.
Excellent. Lenny and I were both born in Philadelphia.
Oh, amazing. Oh,
Yeah,
so you're
amazing.
okay. So you know all of these towns. So I left the area for a solid, I'm going to say 20 years. And I've recently moved back, and both of my sisters are local. And one of my sisters was in Hawaii and like Nicaragua. And so it's very cool to be back where we grew up together.
Yes.
So it's very new. It's been like a year and a half since I've been back in the area. And I didn't grow up in Bluebell, obviously. I grew up in Havertown, but still close enough.
That's fabulous. So, Jennifer, you've written that books were your constant companion growing up. When did you add writing to your reading habit?
I did it for fun as a kid. I would write little stories with what I thought were wildly twist endings. And then you read them now. And it's like, I would write 20 pages of a knight walking up a hill. And then the last page says, the dragon ate him.
Perfect.
And I thought it was just absolutely groundbreaking stuff. But I did not want to be a writer. I wanted to specifically be a musical theater MGM star.
Yes.
Despite the fact that they do not make those films anymore. I wanted to wake up one day and be good at dancing and be in Seven Brides for Seven Brothers.
Nice outfits. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I did wind up going to drama school. I can sing, still can't dance, although I try. And when I was in drama school, I started writing projects for my friends and I, because you've got to make your own opportunities. But I started writing myself out of the scripts, sort of smaller and smaller roles, until I thought, what's really nice is being creative in private without anybody looking at you. And then I thought, maybe I'll write a book. Let's give that a go. And here I am.
Wow.
And now I write with Lee. So I'm back in the collaborative space like I was when I started.
And Lee, you are an entertainment lawyer. Is that right?
It is indeed right.
And now you're in this creative space.
Well, it's funny. I always love hearing Jen's background, because again, we were so close physically, but our backgrounds couldn't have been more different. I had always known that I wanted to be a writer. I was that kid that wrote endless chapter ones. I had the little picture book going. And I think it was just one of those things where I was an oldest child. My father had worked his way through college and missed all of the classes that he was basically paying for. My mom went right into the workforce after high school. So it was like, if you're doing this, what's your job at the end? And I think writing felt like so amorphous and something that they didn't know. And ever the people pleaser, I'm like, okay, so writing, reading, they're like, that sounds like law school. So I did the whole paralegal in New York, went back to school, but I was always thinking on the side that I wanted to write myself. And I think the entertainment thrust of my career was getting back to that space in some way, being an advocate for those people. But at some point, it just wouldn't stay to the margins of my life. I just kept on writing in the mornings and at night. And eventually I tried to get an agent actually when I was on maternity leave with my son. And I got a book deal as I was walking in to sort of negotiate part-time practicing. And so I felt like that's a sign. Just go for it. If I can't get another book deal, that's one thing. But yeah, I've always wanted to do this. It's something I tried to ignore and couldn't. So
it pulled you back.
It did. Yes. Just when I tried to get out. Yes, exactly. Exactly.
What's funny is my parents were so relieved when I became a writer. It was a
that's what I mean.
Practical choice.
Oh, good.
Compared to what I was trying to do before.
Again, I just feel like it's so funny that we always come from sort of opposite sides, but yeah, like found each other sort of in the interim space.
So how did you both come up with the concept of the midnight show, Jen?
So we knew we wanted to do something in comedy. We knew we wanted to do something still historical, but more contemporary. And we knew we wanted to do a mystery. And we thought, can we get away with putting this all in one book? And we've always loved Saturday Night Live. That's one of the other things that we have in common is we love sketch comedy, not just SNL, but, Kids in the Hall and Monty Python and, everything we could get our hands on. So while we're working on all these other books, we're talking about SNL and referencing sketches all the time. And this was sort of the book that we were like, do we get to write this yet? Are we ready for this one? And it was sort of the little carrot that we were dangling in front of ourselves. And then we thought, you know what, let's just do it. Let's dip our toes in and see how it goes. And 3 months later, we'd written a book.
And that is
Wait,
wildly,
what?
yes,
What?
it is so unusual for us. And I will say that what Jen and I tried to gravitate toward just as a team, because we are the same age and we sort of had the same cultural influences, is things that we were obsessed with growing up. So it was Indiana Jones. Our second book was like Old Hollywood, Some Like It Hot. Yes. And the third book is very much like Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, The Sting. So we always knew we wanted an SNL book, I feel like, as you said. But yeah, it was, are we ready? Is it time? And then I felt like that idea germinated for so long, Jen, that by the time we were ready to write, it was like we were like hungry to write this thing, basically.
Yeah.
3 months is not typical for us, but it's getting more typical. I do think we're getting more efficient with each novel.
Yeah, and all our projects. I think we can problem solve much more efficiently now. So we get on together, we say, oh, this actually doesn't make, usually it's plot holes. We go, oh, this was brilliant. Our initial concept for this, but then you get to the point of it and you're like, this actually doesn't make any sense in the real world. And we can sort of sit in silence for a minute and then go, what if? And then one of us goes, wait, I had something too. We sort of combine our ideas and fix the problem. It's useful.
I also think we're getting to know each other at this point we know each other, but like it's been this sort of evolution where I know now, Jen, that if I have something that I don't think you'll like, I'll always pitch it on WhatsApp first. And then because you like to sit with something, right? And then we come back and then we talk about it. So I do think we've been learning each other and what is the most
sneaky.
Right?
Oh my gosh. I know.
You like your shower.
It's
you like to walk and think
shower
about it.
And dog walk.
Yes.
Yeah. Because initially I go, that won't work. And then I go, okay, this is how I think it could work. And then you totally sold me. But what's funny is sometimes you talk yourself out of it. You're like, oh, well, or we can. And I'm like, no, you sold me on it. It's done.
Yeah, right. By the time you come back. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, evolution is the perfect word. I feel like we've learned each other, learned the way that we tell stories best.
But also about our lives, all the context of our writing lives. We're in each other's spaces. So we see each other's families. We know what's going on in each other's lives. We're very, very close. And so we're able to give each other grace when we're not up for it that day. I think we had a day a couple weeks ago where we were both sort of like, I did not sleep last night. And we stared at each other on the screen for a minute and then went, you know what? Let's not do this today.
Or we'll do
it helps
one email. Yeah. Like we cross one thing off the list and we're like, all right, till next time, bud, just so there's something.
But more often than not, we get on and we're like, we just want to talk about this one thing. And then 2 hours have passed and we've actually just outlined an entire book accidentally.
Wow.
I just came up with this analogy and I don't know if you would agree with this, Jen, but we wade into the ocean versus jump into the pool. Right. And I think all of a sudden we're in the middle of it. but both of us, I think, like to be kind of like
trick yourself into
yeah,
working.
yeah. I think that's right.
So you're working together, and you talked a little bit about these characters. We don't want to do the spoiler because this book is just out, and part of the fun of this book is what happens.
Yeah, thank you. Yes.
And all the different perspectives. But because you're doing this together, did you set out and say, this is how this character is going to grow. This is how character is going to grow. This is the course of what the Midnight Show looks like at the beginning versus the end. Did you kind of set it out?
Yeah, I mean, I think we always start with some sort of outline, and depending on the project, Jen, I would say for the first book, we went to the spreadsheet. We would have an Excel sheet, chapter by chapter. I know Jen's a big Excel sheet fan.
Spreadsheet, man. Yeah.
Oh,
For non-number purposes, especially, I just love sortable fields. It makes me happy.
okay.
But I will say for the Midnight Show, we had a much looser outline where it was more like 2 pages. And then we would take each section. You know how the book is basically broken into, I think it's like 15 parts. And we would zoom in on a part and really talk that through and then execute that part. So I would say the planning of it was a little bit more organic. We knew where it ended up and we knew what we wanted from those final beats, but we were much more flexible in sort of building the bridge there. If you would agree with that, Jen. Just because it was such a dynamic, fluid conversation of a book.
We knew the ending.
We had to create some space. Yes.
You knew the ending. Did you know how you wanted to develop those characters and how you wanted them to sound? Like their personalities?
That is such a great question because I would say that was also organic. Jen, do you remember? Because I kind of was looking up our files from on this a little bit ago. We wrote it how we thought, because again, we captained various characters, but then we had to go back and sharpen all of them because like 3 of them sounded too similar. Do you remember this? We had like a chart of like, this one tells jokes through analogies. This one gets the names wrong all the time.
Yes.
This one is self-deprecating, right? And so we actually had to put it there because it was so easy to sort of slip into your own sense of humor.
Yeah. And also, I think in your head, everyone's distinct because you're hearing their voice, but it's not necessarily coming across on the page. I did a lot of the men initially, and so it became a bit samey. And yeah, they changed a lot in revision, actually.
Yeah, especially Bobby, I feel like had like a full Bobby pass.
There were moments though,
that was so
but
much
that was
fun.
like drawing it out. There were moments there, like that line, it's beautiful because it hurts, or it hurts because it's beautiful.
His douchiness was always right there.
It was
just had to let it
amplifying it, giving it more room to breathe. Oh, bless him.
Yes, exactly.
Talk about a self-regarding unreliable narrator. I mean, he had it all. He was great as a character.
Oh, I'm so glad you think so.
I think he's unreliable even to himself. I think he believes he's rewritten everything.
Absolutely. So we loved the oral history, the mixed media format of the novel. Lee, what made you want to experiment with such an unusual storytelling form?
Oh, that's such a great question too. I mean, Jen and I have had a mixed media element in all of our stories. So not to go too down the rabbit hole in these other books, but like there's a hieroglyphic based puzzle throughout the Indiana Jones Antiquity Affair book. There's news articles in Starlets and mixed media. I guess there's a ton of invitations and like little third party snippets in My Fair Fraud. So we've always had something else to sort of bolster the main narrative. I don't remember the exact moment. Jen, I feel like you threw out this idea of, do we want to go all in transcript style? And then it was like, well, do we want to add like a case file element on top of it? This is what we tend to do. We just sort of keep anteing up this idea and add emails and news articles, which I do love to write. And yeah, I think it was early on, but it was definitely a decision, right?
It was another, do we get to do this? What do you think about no prose? Can we get away with it? I think what we've always liked about mixed media is this idea with historical fiction in particular, and this is sort of historical with the back and forth to the present day, but that if you have those found footage type elements, found articles and snippets, it does feel more real. It feels like you've wandered into this slightly parallel universe.
Yeah.
Populated by people that you recognize from real history and the real world and real places. And it just brings it to life a little bit more. That makes you feel like maybe a time traveler. So we wanted to go dive fully into that with this one and make it feel like this is a world that you maybe have just forgotten, but it really did exist.
I will say that it proved such a challenge, though, because sometimes when we would put these articles in our stories and it was just like the beginning of a chapter, right? You're like, does it belong better here or in the previous chapter? Where is it most impactful? And for this book, everything was a puzzle piece, not just sort of the emails and the news articles, but the actual snippets themselves. So like, did it make sense for Stevie to speak before Brooke, or would it be more impactful for Brooke to sort of give the punchline after Gina? Everything was movable. And I did feel like that was exciting and like very fresh in terms of a process, but it was also so challenging. It was a total puzzle.
From reading it, it seemed fluid, but when you describe that, I can say, oh my golly, that would have been hard to navigate all that. But talking about the history, one of the things that I really liked, you really got New York right back in the day.
Oh, great.
That came off crystal. New York isn't what it is right now. You go up to the theater district, you walk around at 2:00 at night. So different now. How did you get the historical perspective so spot on with this?
So my first memories are living in New York as a kid. So I lived Upper East Side from 84 to 88.
Okay.
Before I moved to Pennsylvania. And my mom was a young single mom working in finance. And I would spend the summers at my dad's house in the South, and she would get to be a young person in New York. So she actually knew a band member in the Saturday Night Live band and would go to the after parties and things. She still has this weird vendetta against Paul Schaefer because he was rude to her one time. Her era was just slightly after the era of this book, but she still provided interesting first person knowledge about the club scene.
We did so much research. So we started with vibe reading and memoirs of people at the time, Carson, Carrie Fisher, like just so many people that sort of were on the scene at that time. But then if you're looking for it, we found these sources. There was a book called Life on the New York Dance Floor, 1980 to 1983. It's a tome. It's like 600 pages. It describes all of these clubs in like blistering detail. And then there was this article, New York in the early 80s, hour by hour. What was that, New York Times, Jen? I feel like it was a 50-page article, basically, when you made it a Word document. And that just kind of set us off. And then you can start to crystallize the city and move around in it.
But it's a really distinct 3 years. It is this micro era between disco and AIDS, basically, where it was a really, really mixed group of people, both in terms of artistic pursuits and sexuality and where people were coming from and race. And it was this little shining spot of idealism and artistry before it all went very conservative and very frightened. So I think that's why there's so much interest in this era. And that's why we chose to set it 80 to 83 as well, because we just found it fascinating.
For sure.
Yeah. One of the major themes in the book is the challenges of being a funny woman in the 1980s. So the female cast members of the Midnight Show faced a lot of sexism, and they each deal with it in their own way. Jen, why was this a theme you wanted to explore?
I think it's still relevant today in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
There's still this idea that women either aren't funny or shouldn't be funny. I've experienced going on dates in my youth where I make a joke or a one-liner and the guy goes, "Oh, you're funny." This is not a good thing. They like to be the performer, and women are the sounding board and the audience and the adoring secondary figure. To be funny is to be intelligent, to have a mind of your own, to be fully human. And I think that even now, I mean, maybe even more so now with things regressing a little bit in the past few years, there's a pushback against the idea of women being fully human. And I think that's what humor is. That's about as human as it gets.
It's interesting, too, because as we were writing this book, we really had to press on how we felt about it. We were writing two very different generations, obviously, with Madeline, the reporter, who's about 26, 27, and Mainly these conversations took place between Madeline and Gina. And this idea of archetypes kept rising to the surface. I don't know if women can't touch certain things, but it does seem like you are put into a box as soon as you step onto that stage. And I'm even thinking of like Nikki Glaser, like who's sort of made it. And it really does feel like it's a lane that you're choosing. And so we really did want to explore that. And I feel like we had some fantastic conversations about that. Is it the same now? How has it evolved? Has it evolved at all? And I think it really does come down to comedy is a lifeline. Like everyone should be able to use it as this coping mechanism and use it as a tool to like explore their story and their trauma. It's sad that women are typecast in this space. They just really are.
I think all spaces too, women are polarizing as public figures in a way that men aren't. It's all framed in terms of likability in a way that men don't have to grapple with.
It's a great point.
You'll mention somebody that's funny and someone will go, oh, I hate her. Oh, why? She just rubs me the wrong way. Okay. Well,
right.
And you don't hear that about men necessarily.
No.
I also think there's these books out there, which are fantastic, called like Wild and Crazy Guys. There's a lot that has been done about the 80s and 90s superstars of the comedy space. And so it was particularly exciting to us, I think, to kind of take a female lens to this era. And that's really what all of our books are, is taking a female lens to something that has been thought of as traditionally male.
You mentioned the generational component. I thought that was so interesting. And especially Gina. There are several times in the book, Gina's like, hey, don't give me that current generation viewpoint of what my generation went through. You didn't go through it. You can't tell me what we did was antiquated, wrong. We were doing what we had to do.
Yeah.
There's a lot of times Maddie doesn't even really know what to do with that because she has just the current generation, very strong ideas about feminism and how they should have retrospectively acted in her opinion. And Gina won't have it.
I think it's a privilege sometimes to look back and sort of revise. And I think the word we used is audit, right, Jen? You're culling through everything and you're picking out the faults. And when you're on the ground, you're on the ground. You're coping day by day. And I think, Jen, it's funny to go back to this whole, did Gina stand up in the room? Maybe there is some revisionist history because you want to think that you're the kind of person that does that. I still think she did, though, for the record.
I think in her memory, it is a louder statement than what happened in reality. But anyway.
Touche. To be continued.
We are right between the generation.
Yes.
So we are neither. What is Madeline? Oh, yeah, she's on the cusp, we said.
Gen Z.
Young millennial.
Yeah, young millennial.
We're elder millennial or Gen X.
The Oregon Trail generation is what we're called.
We're in between those viewpoints, I would say. But, I've heard my mom's stories about working in finance. People, slapping her butt as she goes by when she's made a huge deal.
Yep.
I
That's
had
the
my
compliment.
head patted once.
Oh, God.
I've had my butt slapped.
Okay, but what did you do?
Pretended it didn't happen.
Yeah, I know.
Because you are trailblazing and you are making strides for women by continuing to be employed.
Yeah.
But at the same time, my mom didn't say anything. She laughed it off. She was one of the guys. She went out smoking cigars with them later. And who's to say that guy didn't do worse later?
It's so hard.
You can see both sides of it. And it's a really, really complex issue that people still deal with today.
Yeah.
It is so complicated. And even what you said about likability, Jen, like I think sometimes when I was living in New York and walking the streets of Manhattan, and construction workers or just guys in general would feel very comfortable just catcalling. You'd look prettier if you smile. I think I have a very serious resting face. If you reverse that, if you just think about women just calling out, can you please make my reality more pleasant by smiling for me? And the entitlement that requires to be able to say that to a stranger.
And we still hear it today.
I know.
Oh, it just grates on my last nerve.
I hear you.
So we enjoyed the book so much, and this has been fun talking to the two of you. Maybe we'll start with Jennifer. What are you working on next? Maybe individually, or are you doing anything together?
Oh, we can't stop working together. Even with our individual stuff, we're checking in with each other. Last week, we went 3 days without talking to each other. And we got back on and thought that was weird.
I was like, is something wrong? I feel like I haven't talked to you in such a long time. It was like a weekend. It was so ridiculous.
Oh, I know. Well, we work on the weekends, so there you go. True. I solo am working on my next horror book for Putnam. So I mostly write horror when I'm doing my solo stuff. My dark and disturbing work is
I love that.
all alone.
I love it.
And Lee and I are working on another book together that is do you want to talk about it, Lee?
Oh, sure. I know we don't have the pitch yet, but I would say it's another large ensemble piece. Takes place on a cruise ship, and it is very firmly a murder mystery, but it also has this sort of backdrop world. We love these like cultural reference points. So it's kind of like our take on Disney. It's called The Worlds of Lark. And we were very careful to all of the fairy tales that The Worlds of Lark does. Disney has not touched are in the public domain.
Off-brand princesses.
Exactly. Princess and the Pea, if you will. But it's been super fun to, again, kind of combine the big cast and also make our own universe. So it's been very fun.
I love that. I'm definitely getting that book.
Yeah, that
yay!
sounds fabulous.
Good.
Oh,
That's
glad.
The Midnight Show is so great at combining genres. It's almost like a political commentary novel, but then it's also a murder mystery. So I love the idea of the cruise ship and the whole ecology of a cruise ship, and then also the murder mystery. That's great. Yeah, that's going to be a fabulous book. And Lee, are you working on anything individually?
I am, I guess I'd call it literary romance. Maybe it takes place against the poker world heyday of the early aughts. And it's a time jumping story about a couple that came up together, but their relationship is falling apart. And it's been a ton of fun. And I always played poker, but I like very much leaned in hard to the game in order to make this feel authentic. So yeah, it's been a blast, and I'm in the middle of revisions on it, basically.
Oh, great.
Wow.
Excellent.
That is so exciting, the two of you.
I know people will want to stay in touch with what you guys are working on collectively and also individually. Jen, I'll start with you. What is the best way for our listeners to stay in touch with what you're up to?
I'm on Instagram, and I am on Threads more than I should be. Because I should be writing my book. And I also recently started a Substack. So I think you can find that via my Threads. It's linked there.
Okay, very good. And Lee?
I am Lee Y. Kelly on Instagram, and my website is leekellyauthor.com.
And Jen, you have a website as well.
Yeah, it's jenniferthorne.com.
So I'll put links to all of that and everything else that we've talked about in the show notes.
Amazing.
Well, this has been fun.
This has been great.
I'm not surprised the two of you are so social and fun after reading your book.
Yeah.
It's been fun getting to know you.
You
And I wish you
too.
best with your future work that you're doing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's been so great to be here and chat with you both. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Nancy, are they not funny together?
They were so fun. It was almost like they're sisters, to be
that's
honest.
What I thought too. It was almost like they were sisters, like they're family.
Yeah,
They
definitely.
get together. They miss each other when they're not talking.
Yeah.
It's amazing. The synergy, the back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
They fit right in here.
We had such a great time. I wasn't sure. We've never interviewed co-authors, what that would be like, but you can see how they write so well creatively because they are different in certain ways. Like they were talking about different senses of humor, but they are so open to each other. You can tell they appreciate each other so much, and they have such a great chemistry together.
And I think they know each other's strengths.
Yeah.
Where can I help out? How do I fit in? The word synergy is good. I haven't read any of their individual works, but I'm in love with them now. So I can't wait to read more from both of them. Very interesting. And they were from Pennsylvania.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
I am definitely interested in reading their individual works now as well. But I think their new joint book, taking off on this idea of a Disney cruise, that sounds fabulous too.
Oh, yeah. And I love a cruise. And so I'm all in. Yeah, just that here's our pot of people and our crazy characters and how are we going to develop them and who did it and how did it happen and all of that. Mm-hmm. It's perfect for them. Oh, they're going to have so much fun writing it. Can you believe it only took them 3 months to write The Midnight Show?
Oh my goodness. That's incredible. Wow.
Unbelievable.
They are so productive.
Oh, and talented.
Well, super fun. I love the book. Loved getting to know them.
Yeah, definitely something to put on reading lists. Well, next month, we're going to review The Gap Year, written by Lindsay Goldstein. Nancy, I love the book. I don't know if you've read it yet.
I have.
I'm looking forward to talking to you about that.
This will be a fun one for us to talk about. And it's a perfect summer read.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Well, everyone, thanks for listening. Our website is frontporchbookclub.com.
Our episodes come out twice a month on the first and third Wednesday of each month.
See you next time, Lenny.
See you, Nancy.